So welcome everyone. In tonight's session, we're going to be following a similar routine, progression that we've been doing over the last few weeks with the allowance for flexibility and to sensing in where the energy's at. But basically what we're going to do is progress through some breathwork progressions, which will not only oxygenate your brain and your body to help sort of bring you to this sort of heightened state of awareness, but it also, when you become that oxygenated, your cells are all flooded with this oxygen, it tends to have an effect similar to what you might have noticed with psychedelic experiences if you've had that. To some degree, the part of our brain that tends to be very active in evaluating and judging our situation becomes a little bit quieter. So we're able to have fewer filters to this present moment. And that benefits us in numerous ways because, as I've mentioned before, and I'm sure many of you are aware, the moment, the now, and this sounds so cliche, but it's absolutely true. This is all we get to play with. Ultimately, this is all we get to live in is the right now, because it is always now. To whatever degree you feel open to letting go into meditation, breathwork, or as we will progress through into bring your awareness onto body sensations tonight. Many of us, even with breathwork, have probably felt there's that point at which we're invited to surrender into the experience. And there's often, not always, but there's often a little bit of trepidation, just as it's almost like we're on the edge and we have to trust fall, and it's usually backwards. But we fall into ourselves, right? So the question I ask myself is, what am I willing to let go of to live a really full life, a meaningful life of being present, a life where there's peace of mind and inner peace, which being happy. What would you be willing to give up to be happy? And I'm not really talking necessarily about my car, my physical things, which may or may not be associated with that, but what are you willing to give up related to your beliefs, your convictions, your memories, even dreams that you might have of what you want to manifest, and especially opinions, because many of us are, and myself included, are very open to sort of surrendering, letting go of minor preoccupations. But when we're sort of challenged to release something that we have as a strongly held belief, and not to say that it's wrong or right, but just to loosen your grip on those things, they could still be there, it can be a little tough. And often I find moments just before we have sort of awakening experiences, we're offered this, like, are you willing to let this belief go, let these inner things that you're hanging on to, that you identify as yourself, how much of them are you willing to release? And to the degree we're open to, like, it's okay, whatever. There's no point in me hanging on to this stuff. As to that degree, we're able to really open into the experience of now. And it can be pretty profound. So that said, to whatever level we're able to do that is great. For those of you who are watching the recording, if you wanted to get some water, and you may want some lip balm or some lip moisturizer of some kind for the breath work, you can pick that up now. And of course, if you're watching this recording frequently, you can fast forward through this part, get right to the breath work. So I'd invite you to find a comfortable position with your spine straight, but not feeling like you're being forced upright or you're tense in that position. This can be sitting or it can be lying down. You can have back support or you can hold yourself upright. Find a comfortable position where you're able to stay relaxed but alert. And during this experience, if you become uncomfortable, give yourself permission to change your position. But I'd invite you to do so mindfully and slowly. Be aware of what you're doing versus just responding to little nicks and discomforts and an itch and scratching. Just notice the sensations and how you're responding to them. During the breath work, I'll be encouraging, inviting movement. So let yourself move as you feel like things want to happen. And then during the meditation, I'll invite stillness. You can gently close your eyes now and start by bringing your awareness to the surface that is supporting your body. Whether you're sitting or you're lying down, notice where the weight of your body meets the chair or the surface that you're sitting or lying on. All of the pressure points. Realize that you're fully supported. You're not going anywhere. Allow yourself to really settle and become grounded into the surface. Become familiar with the sensations on your body and accept them how they are. Now I'd like you to bring your awareness to anything that you hear in the room, any sounds. Even the sound of my voice. And I invite you to just accept whatever you hear, whatever ambient noises in the house, from outside. Any sounds on maybe the chair you're sitting on, air conditioning. Whatever sounds are present, just see if you can notice them all as like one sound, as if you're listening to an orchestra. So not needing to identify them or judge them as a distracting noise or a pleasant one. And it may be very silent. Maybe all you can hear is my voice and maybe a little bit of a tone in your ear. And that's okay too. Just even with my voice, allow it to just sink into your consciousness without needing to strain to understand or identify what I'm saying. Trust that some level of your awareness is taking it in and responding appropriately. We're going to slowly bring our awareness to the breath. And in doing so, invite your full attention to move onto the breath, acknowledging that it's happening right now on its own. There's nothing you need to do to make it happen. And notice that as you feel your body on the surface you're sitting on and you become aware of your breathing, that's a very immediate sensation, a very present moment awareness realization. And you might also be aware in the background that there are thoughts that are coming up, images in your mind, to-do lists, or something that you need to get done later. And just recognize that most of those thoughts that come up, the head trips, are typically focused on the future or the past. And they really pull our awareness away from this moment. And while there's an appropriate time for that, you can give yourself complete permission to the next hour. Just let those thoughts move into the background. And as they come up, you're not becoming frustrated or trying to resist them. You're just remembering that, oh, I've already given myself permission no matter what. You just let those thoughts just be in the background or move past or drift away. You're going to bring your awareness back to your body and your breathing. And I'll tell you right now, absolutely, it is appropriate, worthwhile to bring your attention onto this moment, into your body, on your breath. Even if the thoughts seem very convincing, you're doing the right thing. So any doubts or questions about something you think you need to remember for later, you can just let that go too. Now we're going to start to bring your intention to the intentional breathing. So you're going to start to Breathe in fully, ensuring that you're inhaling from the abdomen, your chest, and then imagine you're pulling the air, the energy and the oxygen right up into your brain. So we're getting a full inspiration of your lung capacity. So in through the nose, as long and slow and deep as you can, and really pay attention to stomach, chest, and then even further up. If you were able to breathe in your head, you want to think about that inspiration. Once you're fully inhaled, just release and relax. And again. Through the nose. Or through the mouth. Intentionally slow down that in-breath so you can really focus on feeling the abdomen, feeling the chest, pulling all the way up to the head. And also visualize that direction of energy, moving from lower through your abdomen and pelvis up your spine through into your head. As you're pulling that oxygen up, you're pulling energy up from the base up to your head. Really remember to inflate your abdomen. If you're finding it hard to breathe into your stomach initially, try just a few breaths. When you breathe in, try pushing your stomach out. And once you get used to that, incorporate it into the first stage of your inspiration. Rib cage expands and top it up. Another 2 or 3 breaths like that. Now we're going to do the same thing, except once you fully inhaled, you're going to hold for 5 seconds at the top. So like so, I'll breathe through my mouth so you can hear me a little bit better. More. Hold. Relax and release. And then again. More. Hold. And continue as such. Really fully inhale. You may find it helpful at the top of the breath to turn your eyes upward, as if you're looking up to a space in front of your forehead. With your eyes closed, see if you can feel that energy pulling right up into the top of your head. Hold. Keep going. Can you do another 5 breaths like that? In the nose, out the mouth. After the next couple of breaths, keep going. Just listen as you're going. After the next couple of breaths, we're going to remove the pause at the top, the hold, and we're going to remove the pause at the bottom. Same technique, breathing all the way in the nose. But as soon as you get to the top, you release. Or right back in as soon as you exhale. No pausing on between the in and the out, and no pausing after you exhale before you breathe in again. Keep going. After the next 5 breaths, I'll let you know when. Just keep encouraging the abdomen, chest, head, all the way into the top, and then release and right back in again. After the next 3 breaths or so, you're going to just increase the tempo slightly. So after the next 2 breaths, I'll show you what we're going to be doing. Okay, as quickly as you can while still paying attention to abdomen before chest. It's a little bit challenging as best as you're able to. We're increasing that in. And even now, you may start to feel that little bit of lightheadedness, a little bit of swimmy feeling. And you might even notice a little bit of resistance, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't breathe in as deep. Oh, what if I faint? Or, oh, those little thoughts. If they're not there now, they'll come. And just allow those to be there. I trust we've done this many times. It's just oxygen. You're just breathing. Trust yourself to continue going. Just let those thoughts go. It's an interesting exercise to watch thoughts come up and observe them dissipate. All you're doing is breathing deep in and releasing out. Now, as you find, you might start entering a state of stillness. Might start becoming more relaxed and surrendering into this space. And that's great. All I ask of you is to still be very intentional about that deep, full inspiration. All right? Really just pay attention to all the way in. And then letting go. But right back all the way in. That's the only time you sort of need to be on. After several repetitions of this, this will become very natural. We're going to get a flow state going. So you just need to pay attention to being intentional about it right now, using a little bit of effort right now. Pull it in. After the next 6 or so breaths, we're going to breathe everything out and hold for 15 seconds. And we only have about 3 more of these nice full deep breaths, and then you're going to be exhaling. So work with me in the next couple of breaths. When it feels right, you're going to breathe it out. Then hold it out. Hold. Keep holding. 5 more seconds. And after this next couple seconds, breathe all the way in, all the way up and in, and hold it in. More. Hold it at the top. Hold. Holding. Five more seconds, and then you're going to relax and release after the next couple of seconds, and relax. Let it out. Breathe naturally, and just settle. Notice how light your body feels. Notice perhaps a sense of tingling in your limbs, recognizing that you've flooded your cells in your body with oxygen, and your brain with oxygen. You've just done something very healthy for your mind and body. Embrace that. And just notice if there's any areas that feel like you're maybe clinging a little bit, or any little self-doubt or judgment. And just intentionally allow yourself to release that now. Doesn't matter why it's there or figuring out what to do about it. Just let that go for now. Whether you feel it's a justified hesitation or not. For just experiment for tonight. It's dissipating, releasing. And we're going to enter another cycle of breathing. I'm going to go for 30 or 40 cycles. You don't have to count. I'll tell you when to start and stop. Again, in the nose and releasing. With me now. In the nose, out the mouth. Even as I'm speaking, you're continuing. Still asking you to be very intentional about fully inhaling. That's where the effort is involved. Trust yourself now to really push that inspiration and release. Let go of any pause between the in and the out. Stay with that big in breath. As soon as you feel release, it's just automatic. That next big in breath comes in the nose. Releasing, right back on, riding that wave of breath now. Keep going. It's just becoming a rhythm now. You're just riding the rhythm, riding the wave, the up and the down, the pulse of the breath. You're just being carried with it. Pull that in, let it out. If any movement feels like it wants to happen in your body, completely allow your body to move with this. Your body can move with the rhythm of the breath. Any releases that want to happen, any shifting that wants to happen, if your head feels like it wants to move, if any sounds want to be released, allow it. Just keep breathing. Keep going. We have about another 10 breaths. Keep riding it out. Don't worry about the count. Don't worry about time. Let yourself just dissolve into the space of breath. It's totally okay to feel like there's an emptiness sort of settling over you, a stillness moving from within you to without you, a dissipation or an evolving and opening, an expansion of your body, filling the room around you. Keep breathing through that. That's totally normal and natural. Allow that to happen. After the next 3 or 4 breaths, we're going to exhale everything again and hold for 30 seconds. The next couple of breaths, breathe it all out. Then hold. Wherever it feels comfortable, just hold. Holding. If you want to crunch forward a little bit so that it's comfortable to hold, you can. Just trust yourself to keep holding. Hold a little longer. Halfway there. Just 10 seconds of holding. After the next 5 seconds, we're going to breathe all the way in and hold at the top. Get ready. Breathing in now. More. A little bit more. Hold. Keep holding. As long as you can up to that 30-second mark. If you feel like you can keep going, keep going. We only have 10 more seconds left. Holding. Notice the sense of stillness that comes over your body as you're just sitting with the breath held. And relax and release. And just sit. Notice any visual sensations behind your eyes, any physical sensations in your trunk and limbs. Notice any movement that feels like it wants to happen. And regardless of the sound of my voice or any sounds around you, notice how quiet it feels, how still it feels. It's okay to allow yourself to be an empty space sometimes. You don't need to fill that space with thoughts all the time. Breathing naturally, just embracing that sensation. If you need to take a sip of water or moisten your lips, you can do so now. And now we're going to begin another cycle, and I'm going to encourage you to increase the tempo slightly while still making sure you're breathing fully. You're fully in and just releasing on the out. Doesn't matter if you're fully exhaling, it's just a relaxed release. It's the full inspiration and the pulling upwards, that's the intention through the nose. If you feel there's any congestion remaining and you want to do some nose breathing, now is a good time to do some in out through the nose. And you can use a Kleenex and clean your nose out. Take a sip. And we're ready to begin. So at this tempo, if you're able to still get all the breath in, that's the key element. So as quickly as you can without compromising that full inspiration. Keep going. If you find it hard to pay attention to whether it's entering your abdomen, your chest first, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're fully inhaling at this point. We want to increase that tempo a little bit, get into a nice deep rhythm. No pause between in and the out. You're going to find yourself being flooded with oxygen and energy now. Fully let yourself release into it, but keep going. There's only really that you need to think about. The exhale happens on its own. You just need to get right back on the. So just a bunch of happening here. The rest is just surrendering. You're just releasing into this in-out. It's just an in-breath and a relax, in-breath and a release. Keep going with that. There's not a lot to pay attention to here. We're just riding it. Don't worry about figuring anything out anymore. Just become this wave, this rhythm. Just a few more breaths really pulling in. You might find this, you're wanting to sort of just settle into it, but just be intentional. Keep going a little bit more. Really trust yourself to really pull on that in. A little further. You're almost there. Keep going. Nothing to worry about, nothing to figure out, and nothing to think about here. Just a breath. You're just on a wave now. You're just riding this undulating current of in and out, in and out, in and out. Keep going with that. Don't worry about judging the sensations that are coming. Don't worry about figuring out whether it's okay or not. It's totally fine. Just keep going through that space. If you feel you're on that precipice, you're on the ledge, allow yourself to free fall into it. Whatever wants to release in the process is totally okay to release. If a movement wants to happen, a sound wants to come, let it happen. Keep going. After the next few breaths, I'll let you know when. We're going to hold wherever you feel appropriate. Whenever you feel you want to, we're going to hold, and I'm going to let you go for up to a minute. Another 5 breaths or so. I'll tell you when. Just keep going. Another couple of breaths. Don't worry about the in or the out. Wherever you feel it's right now. Anytime now, you're going to hold. Halfway in, all the way out, all the way in. Holding. Holding now. Everyone's holding. Just trust yourself to hold. Don't judge whether you think you should or not, or whether it's time to exhale. Just keep holding. I'll let you know when. We're going up to a minute. But all you need to do is just notice how it feels. Not judge whether the feeling means you should breathe or not, or thinking about what your mind says about breathing. Just how does it feel to be holding your breath now and just being okay with that? Being okay with being in this state of stillness, holding. See if you can hold for another 10 seconds or so. Just embracing this feeling, allowing it to wash over you. You've gone for a minute now. If you're still holding, you can release anytime. And just relax. Notice that once you release the breath, that there's a different sensation that comes up. A different feeling washes over you from when you're holding to when you're releasing. Sit with that. You don't need to put a label on this or name the sensation or grasp it. You're just being in it. If you feel like there's an opportunity to sink deeper into it or release or surrender another layer of holding on, let that happen now. It's totally fine. Nothing you let go of is going to hold you back in any way or be missed in any way. And it's always there available if you want to pick it up again. We're going to go through another cycle. I'm going to go a little longer now, so I encourage you just to let go of any sense of time or wondering how long. We're just going to ride the breath. Time will take care of itself. We're going to do mouth breathing now, so if you have your moisturizer, you want to apply some more. And the difference is going to be a little bit more intentional about the out breath. So for a change, we're going to inhale and exhale through the mouth, but pulling in and pushing out. Either pursed lip or whatever you feel more comfortable with that you can sustain for a longer period of time while still getting a full inspiration. I'm going to start you at a more moderate tempo. and then I'll increase, and if you feel comfortable with joining me at the increasing as we go, you can do so. Get yourself mentally prepared to enter that state of the wave, the undulation, just riding the breath and being okay with just continuing with that space. You know it's totally fine. We've done this already before. And begin. Keep going even as I'm speaking. If you find at some point during this breath work, you absolutely have to take a sip of water because your throat's very dry, take a slight pause to do so. But just notice, is that really that you need to, your throat is actually dry, or is it a little bit of resistance being there? Just see if you can keep going and see what happens. But if you need to pause briefly, you can. Otherwise, keep going in and out the mouth, pulling up and in, pushing down, back in. It's just breath. And you're going to enter a rhythm where you can just surrender to just being the breath. Let that happen. There's nothing more you need to be now other than breath. For the next little while, I do ask you to still have that intention about pulling in and pushing out, pulling in and pushing out. But you can let your body sort of move with that, let the energy just become you. Ride that in and out wave, let your body move with it if you want to. It will become an effortless effort. You might feel a sense of lightness, you might feel some colors, you might feel a white light washing over you, and that's totally fine. Move with that, allow it. For the next few breaths, it's not going to be forever, just trust yourself to keep going. For the next few breaths, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit. You might find yourself whitewashing into this experience, and that's okay. Let's pick it up. What happens if you keep going with this? See what happens if you keep going. Allow your body to be the guide now. If you feel you want to increase or decrease that tempo, just move with it, allow it to happen. Keep going. Just a few more breaths, you're almost there. You're gonna know when you're there. Trust yourself to keep going with it. And at some point, I'm gonna invite you to just hold, whether it's at the top or at the bottom or halfway in. We're gonna hold the breath, and you're just gonna hold as long as you want. I'll let you know when to stop. Keep going, couple more breaths. Whenever you want to now, we're gonna hold. Hold. Holding now, everyone's holding. Don't worry about timing. I'll let you know as long as you can until I say to let it out, or before if you feel it's right. But keep holding for now, holding your breath. Notice how the sensation has changed from when you were breathing to the space of stillness. Holding and realizing that it's totally okay keep holding. You don't have to judge how long you're holding. You know it's okay. Notice as you hold a little longer, there's a settling, there's a deeper releasing, there's sort of a expansion of the boundaries of your body, opening up to take up more and more space. There's an acceptance. Your body will know when it's appropriate to release the breath. And when you do, you can breathe naturally. But until then, if you're still holding, it's okay to keep holding. If you're releasing or if you're already released, that's okay too. Just relax and settle. But if you're holding, keep going. Just another 20 seconds. I'll let you know when. There's nothing to think about. I'm just giving a 2-minute marker for those of you who are holding, just as a little bit of a reference. If you're still holding, in the next 5 seconds, you're just going to relax and release. Just realize that no matter how long it was you held, it was totally okay. Breathing naturally now. Noticing that contrast between the intentional breathing and then just the allowance of natural breath. Really let your attention now gently settle on the natural breath, the rhythm of the in-breath and the releasing on the out. Isn't it fascinating how your body just does its thing? We can just observe it without any input on our part. Really notice the sensations of the breath in particular. Wherever you feel the breath most easily, wherever it presents to your attention first or more strongly. That might be the sensation of your abdomen or your chest rising and falling. It might be the feeling of the cooler air entering through your nostrils and the warmer air exiting. Or just the sensations of air moving through your passageways, your throat, into your lungs. Just noticing the sensations, the physical feelings of breathing with a sort of relaxed, curious attention. You're noticing, what happens as this in-breath comes in? I can feel it. Oh, it's different as the breath goes out. Oh, same thing's happening in the next breath, but the sensations are subtly different in each breath. So there's no straining to feel it or trying to find the breath. Just very gently and curiously noticing it. After following a few breaths, you may notice that there are thoughts that enter your awareness, or an image. These could be typical thoughts that preoccupy your mind, or something unique that's coming to your attention. Sometimes they're daydreamy thoughts and images and fantasies. Other times it could be a very compelling thing you think you need to remember. For now, we're just labeling them as thoughts and images. We don't need to identify what they're saying. We can just recognize that they have no density to them. They're just thoughts, artifacts of mental activity. So wherever the content, just allow them to just drift by without trying to push them away or resist them. Oh, thoughts, images, they just pass. You may find it helpful to imagine your mind as the clear blue sky. It's completely pure and clear and empty. And the clouds passing in that sky represent your thoughts and the images that come and go. And they can just pass. You notice them, but you don't have to follow the clouds. You can even imagine touching them with, as if you're touching a cloud with a feather, just very lightly, and letting it dissipate and dissolve. The thoughts just move past and evaporate. You're bringing your awareness back to the breathing, that's all. Breath is happening, and you're just very curious about this breathing. It's actually very worthy of your attention right now. This is the breath of life. And we're using this natural rhythm of breath as a bridge to being right here in this present moment. This breath, and the next breath, and this one. As I leave more space between my speaking, you may also find a part of your consciousness is anticipating when I'll speak next or what I'm going to say. And you can just let that go as well. It's totally fine. And just allow yourself to be with the breath. Being gentle with yourself. So if the same thoughts come back or you find something's a distraction, that's okay. We're not judging on that. We're just noticing and letting whatever is there be there. But we're just very intentionally noticing the breath right now. That's all. I invite you to release any sense of time or wondering how long it is or how long it's been. And just give yourself permission to be with the breath as long as it takes. Are you aware of the more subtle aspects of the breath? Perhaps you'll notice that there's a slight pause at the top of the in-breath just before you release. It happens on its own. And there may even be a little gap after you exhale just before the next in-breath happens. Your body has its own rhythm. You're just becoming aware of it now. Are there other waves of sensation in the body connected to the breath? If you find your attention wavering, or if you're becoming sleepy or daydreaming, you've just noticed it now, and you can bring your awareness back to the breathing. Following the next several breaths in a row. If you're able to allow yourself to be settled in a space of stillness, your unconscious mind will be following the breath on its own now. You can just be aware of the breath in the background. And I'd like you to bring a little bit more of your attention now to sensations in the body. Not just associated with the breath, but moving your awareness now to any and all sensations in your head, face, neck. What physical sensations do you notice now from the neck up? Perhaps a tingling in the scalp, or a little bit of tension around the eyes or the forehead. What do you feel around your nose, your lips, and jaw, across the head, past the ears, the back of the head? Moving your awareness now down through your head, neck, throat, and into your shoulders. At the top of your shoulders, noticing any feelings, whether it's tension or nice relaxation. We're not judging, just noticing what's there and moving that attention down the back, through the shoulders, along the spine, and out along the shoulder blades. And down the back, across the ribs, right into the lower back, and right to the pelvis. Noticing any and all sensations along the back of your body now. How does your back feel? Again, we're not judging it as a positive or negative, or trying to resist or change anything. We're just observing. We're like a neutral observer, noticing the sensations in our own body. Bringing your attention now back up to the shoulders and across the front of your body, along the collarbones and your chest, down the sternum, through the solar plexus and ribs, down into your abdomen, right in through the stomach as well, into your hips. Any and all sensations in the front of your body, chest and stomach and ribs. Your awareness of the breath is now in the background, but your attention is primarily focused on sensations in the front of your body. Just curiously and objectively noticing whatever's already there. Nothing to search for or find. Now move your attention back up to the shoulders and moving laterally now down across the upper arm. See if you can become aware of the sensations in both arms as you move down across the bicep and tricep of the upper arm, and through the elbow joint, through both forearms, across the wrists into your hands and fingers, and right to the tips of your fingers. Take a minute to notice the sensations in the tips of your fingers and appreciate the depth of sensation, the expanse, the amount of feeling in such a small area. There's an entire universe of sensation just in the tips of our fingers. Just sit with that. Perhaps it's a tingling or a pulsing, maybe a vibrating. Moving that awareness now to include your hands, forearms, upper arms, both arms, your entire arms at the same time. Notice where the weight of your arms is supported, either on your body or the surface that's supporting you. Notice any sensations in the muscles of your arms. Now we're going to move your attention down to your pelvis and your hips. Notice how your butt muscles feel. Without trying to change anything, you're moving that attention now down across the back of your legs, your hamstrings, and around the front to your hip flexors and your thighs, and right down the upper leg to both knees, both upper legs and knees at the same time. Noticing the sensations down your calves and shins of the lower leg, right down through your ankles and into the feet. Noticing all of the sensations through your feet and right to the tips of your toes. How do your toes feel now? And can you expand that awareness of sensation to include both feet, lower legs and upper legs, until you feel both legs at the same time? Any and all sensations in your legs. Moving that awareness now, including the legs, up through your torso, your abdomen and lower back, your rib cage in the front and back, and through the chest and the shoulder blades, and everything in between, your entire torso. And moving out to include your arms from the shoulders down through the upper arm, lower forearms, right to the hands. Arms, legs, torso, and now including your head. Up the neck, face, back of the head, all the way to the top of your head. Now noticing the sensations in your whole body. Any sensations that present. See if you can objectively notice your body as a whole, being the neutral observer of your body as one piece. How does your body feel? What does it feel like to have a body right now? Just loosely letting your attention be aware of this one whole unit that we call a body. And noticing if there's any change in the sensations with the breath. Perhaps you feel there's a sense of expansion of the body on the in-breath. And releasing, relaxing, and settling as you exhale. Maybe there's waves of sensation through the body as you breathe. Whatever it is. We don't need to try and find it. It's already there. Just notice. As you rest your attention on the sensation of having a body, can you become aware of a sense that the boundaries of your body are becoming less distinct once again? You're becoming less defined, and the sensations that you're feeling expand beyond the limits of your physical body. It's almost as though there's no container for sensation. It moves within and without, waves and fluctuating, contracting and expanding. We don't need to contain it. We're just noticing the sensations associated with our body. Now, if you pay attention, you may notice that there's a particular area of your body that feels maybe distracting or has a stronger sensation that's pulling at your attention. It may be a pleasant sensation, but there's one area that you notice more than others, whatever that might be. When you just pay attention to, oh, this area is calling to me, or I really am aware of this spot, this sensation, while still allowing yourself to breathe naturally, just bring your attention gently onto that sensation. We don't need to get pulled into it, but we can just observe it and notice what's happening with that feeling. If you find that there's some movement that gently wants to happen in your body while you're letting your awareness rest on that sensation, very slowly you can allow that movement to happen. If you feel that no physical movement wants to happen, but there's a sense of movement of the sensation, just notice that. Is there a direction? Is there a pulsing? Is there a contracting or expanding or a wave sort of feeling with that sensation? As you rest your attention there, can you notice whether there are layers to this sensation? Perhaps what you originally thought of as one solid feeling or sensation is made up of several elements. There might be a sort of consistent, constant, steady physical feeling in the background, a tightness or a throbbing or a waviness or a lightness. And then over top of that, there's layered sort of different, fluctuating, changing sensations. Maybe a tingling or pulsing, vibrating, whatever it might be. Can you notice layers to this sensation? It's not made up of one solid thing. It has depth. You might even notice that there's an image associated with the sensation, or a color, or a shape. If not, that's fine. Let it be however it is. But you're letting the sensation communicate with you without words being needed. By noticing where it starts in the body, areas where it becomes more noticeable or intense, the edges where it's becoming less noticeable. Has it changed at all since you've been resting your attention there? Are there any emotions attached to this feeling? Now allow that feeling to start to move, and allow your attention to drift onto other sensations as they pass by, as they connect. This feeling can sort of blend into other sensations in the body. You've acknowledged it, you've allowed it to communicate with you, and now you're releasing into a free flow of whatever feeling or sensation in the body wants to carry you. Just relax. Allowing your attention to move with any sensation that presents, and allow your body to move with that if it wants to. Breathing. And allowing yourself to dissolve into all of the sensations that are present. As we close, I invite you to take the following words in as I say them, or repeat them if you feel drawn to. And I will leave you at this point to continue with your meditation or your attention to your body awareness or your inner journey if you feel compelled to. Otherwise, you can close with me. We normally close with Ho'oponopono, prayer of forgiveness and gratitude and love. I'd also like now, given the challenges on the planet right now, to just take a minute to do a little metta meditation, which is a loving kindness prayer or intention. We're going to simply say to yourself or repeat after me, for ourselves first. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. And may I have peace of mind. And now for all beings, friends and enemies, all living creatures. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings experience peace of mind. If you wish to, in connection with your body, place your hand on your chest or on some part of your body. You can allow these words or the vibration of them to resonate with your physical self. As we've listened to our body, now we're going to communicate back with it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I feel you. I'm with you. Thank you. I love you. I love you. I'm with you. I hear you and I feel you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for this evening. I'll see you next week. Wishing you love and light.
Thank you, Josh.